Yo, that intro is still one of my favorite things, dog. I'm not gonna lie.
Is it?
It's
I
pretty
think it's
hot.
all right.
Whatever. You missed it, dude. I spit a whole verse to the intro music. I spit an entire verse to it, man. It was pretty fire.
Are you
too.
trying to become a rapper?
Only
what's
me
going
and
on here?
Yvonne. I'm trying to become something that I've already. No, I'm just saying.
I've already achieved this rap greatness. The rap life
Yeah,
chose me.
I'm saying the verse was
legit.
fire, bro. You've heard, but you were on some heavy hater energy that night, so you were listening to it through a filter by default.
There was a lot happening that night. It was funny. I just was like, the cats and the dogs thing I'm good on for now. Like I was like, I was just like, I was done at that moment.
Everything. Yeah, maybe I'll release my YouTube default intro music for the streets to consume. What's going on, bro? So you tuning in live from San Fran, right?
Yeah, from San Francisco right now. I'm hanging out with my family. I'm just gonna hang out with them for a month, just cause. Like, there's no reason for it. Like, Denver gets too fucking cold, and I'm like, why be here? When I always do it every year. I hang out a month in California during winter, just because it's fun, hanging out with family, all that good stuff, and it just makes sense. It's like, why fly back after Thanksgiving, since my mom has a room here? Although I don't know what's up this year. The internet's acting so whack in my room. It's like not working right. So it's like making stuff like this harder. It was like hard to work all day. Like I might need to like just commandeer my sister's room. Be like, this is mine now.
I like it. I'm here for it. The pink vibes work for you. And so does the 1980s television with the TiVo. Just so you guys know, I need to put some respect on Jonah Corcoran's name. He's got a TiVo in that room.
Still got a TiVo. Still working, dude. Actually, I have no idea if it worked. That'd be so crazy to try to turn it on.
Could it work? Does it still work?
I doubt it.
I don't know.
Because I feel like TiVo's bankrupt. Wait, let's look that up real quick. Is TiVo bankrupt?
One in the chat if you actually ever had a TiVo. I did not. We were not affluent enough for such advancements.
TiVo is not bankrupt. It's still providing products and services. In 2023, it saw a 38% increase in revenue. Wow. That's
interesting.
Crazy. That's it's TiVo's coming back.
Yeah, TiVo's making a comeback, bro. Nissan is about to go bankrupt. That's crazy. Why though? You think it's Japanese economy? Because Nissan's a Japanese company, isn't it?
I heard Nissan is about to go bankrupt. I have no clue. I don't know why Nissan would be going bankrupt.
Don't you have a degree in economics, sir?
So I should know why a single company is going bankrupt.
Yes.
That's what that means. I got a degree in 2016, and that means I know why Nissan's going bankrupt today.
Yeah. If you can't answer this question, is college even worth it?
So stupid.
I feel like afternoon NLT. What's going on? Do you guys agree that if he can't answer a question that's completely unrelated to his degree 5 years later, then college is stupid,
and it was not worth it.
And it was not worth it. Are you still paying?
What?
Are you still paying for your college loans?
No, I was blessed. My parents actually the first year.
Wait, so you had a TiVo and your parents paid for your college degree?
The first year of college was free, but yeah, my parents paid for the three years.
Is this
I'm pretty blessed. This is Jewish privilege. That's what
Jewish privilege. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the
thing. No, I mean, I don't lie about it. I grew up in a upper middle class household. Like I definitely started on second base or third base. Yeah. No, I had my college paid for. So,
what is upper middle class? Like, where is the technical threshold for that? I don't even know the answer. Is it like,
I don't know, dude, because sometimes like if certain people would probably, so like, that's like an interesting thing. Like I don't think my parents made $250. I don't know. Like, I mean, I had divorced parents too. So I don't know, but, like my mom was a school psychologist, so like she didn't make like an insane amount of money. My dad was a car salesman, so it's not like these guys were balling out. I say upper middle class just in the sense that like probably it would have been a much more poor upbringing, but a lot of the people in my family are richer. So like, for instance, my mom has a house in the Bay Area because my grandpa bought it for us, right? And so now my mom's a millionaire because of that, right? So I think there's just little things like that. It's something, I think it's something in Jewish culture and like probably a lot of other cultures too, where it's like you just you keep it going. You like, however you like help out the next generation, give them like a nest egg to start with, and then keep the finances pushing. I think that's where all the stereotypes come from.
Yeah, I mean, you got to respect different cultures and heritages, and their ability to just create generational wealth, generational comfort, right? Like at the very least, it's admirable. So I came up completely differently, obviously, right? And you got to give a shout out to the Yiddish proverbs that are being dropped in the chat, dog. Don't lose them.
I think like I don't believe that's Yiddish. I think that's just gibberish. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong.
We'll let us know. And Reggie, let us know, bro. Like 60% of my my sales community is from Israel. Like legit from Israel.
Okay.
And which is odd, but super cool.
That's dope.
Yeah, it's like super cool. I don't even know why it happened, but it's super cool. So there's regular commentary in Hebrew in the chat.
That's sick.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. So, yeah, but no, we didn't have that thing, right? Like my family, the way we came up was different. Like my mom grew up in Upper Michigan, Upper Peninsula. They didn't have any money growing up. They like legit had to hunt their own food if they were going to eat. And their heater was the stove type thing. You know what I mean? Like, it was, and then my mom like left home at 15, got pregnant when she was 17. It was just me and her for a lot of my life. And my family's philosophy was always like, once you're 18, you're out and you got to figure life out on your own. That was just like, I left home at 17, joined the military, and never, ever, ever, ever once imagined there was a scenario where I could go back home and like live at home with my mom. Like it was just not the philosophy.
That's so interesting.
Right? Yvonne always laughs because, and I don't know if she meant it like this, but she certainly said it like this. We were moving out here, right? And so we came into town to go and look for a spot. And so we stayed at my mom's house. And she just felt the need to like, so you guys aren't like staying for more than a couple weeks, right? Just like, Mom, just looking for a place, bro. Like, chill. Like, Jesus.
Damn.
Maybe she didn't mean it like that. I don't know, but Yvonne always brings it up because it's funny. But that was just like how I came up. And so I look at this culturally, and then you see a lot of these other. And the argument for people who share that perspective is they don't want to enable you. They don't want to create a scenario where people don't stand. But then you look at these other cultures, Middle Eastern cultures, Hebrew cultures, like Jewish families, and you like these people stay at home until they're married, right? Their whole families get together and stay in one house until they're financially secure. And it's very rare for you to see an enabled lifestyle in those families. So that's always been a little bit interesting to me. Like, I feel like, respectfully, I don't know that my family had the right mindset towards that. I feel like there are definitely better ways. I don't feel like.
I mean, in my opinion, this is definitely the best way because what creates the want or the need to like be financially independent or like not to be a freaking loser is like, even though I grew up in like a pretty privileged, I would say pretty privileged. Like I went to really good school districts and stuff like that. Right. I didn't get whatever the hell I wanted. Right. Like I was taught the lessons and just was told, it's like, look, like we are blessed in X, Y, and Z. Right. But just realize we aren't, we're not made of money. Here's how you make and keep money. Right. Like here's like the financial lessons. A lot of them are middle class lessons. Right. Like here's what 401ks are. Here's what stocks are here. Like I was actually taught that stuff growing up, which I'm almost positive almost nobody gets taught that shit. Right. Like I had my dad had me do this whole financial course of like diversification and like, dollar cost averaging and all of that type of shit. Oh, wow. Right. So I think that's a rare thing, but like, I think it's not usually the enablement part is when the parents don't have any backbone, right? Like, for instance, my dad made me pay rent. It wasn't much rent, but it was something when I was living with him and I was like 25 when I came back from the Peace Corps, right? He's like, look, you got to contribute something, right? You have a job, so contribute like $600 a month for this room, right? Like it's probably what it would be normally.
Somewhere else, yeah.
So like he didn't need that money, but he knew like you're an adult, I'm gonna treat you like an adult, right? I think it was also that my family made it very clear, like, we have some nice things, but also you're not just going to be taken care of forever. You gotta do things. You gotta work hard. It's interesting. It is interesting culturally too. And we, like, for instance, like probably the Israelis know, and like the people in there, like Jewish families too. And this is the same thing with Asian families. It's like grades are super important. They're like just like you have to get. There wasn't like an option. Like it wasn't like even talked about as an option not going to college, right? That wasn't like a thing. It's like, it's more like when you're like, it's not even, the idea isn't expressed of you not going to college of some sort. It's more like, which college are you going to go to? And it's really interesting thing. It's something interesting to think about where like, I'm curious what the conversation is in other households. It must be something like, look, like, well, just, what do you want to do? Like, what, I don't know. Like, cause like in my household, it's like, no, you have to go to college, right? Like it's not like a thing where you can't go to college. I don't think my kids, I'm going to necessarily say that. Because I think Joel asked me how old I am. I'm 29, right? When I was going to, I mean, like, it was pretty bad when I was going to college. Like, we still had like a way too expensive, but there's going to be a certain point where it just gets so expensive, it's just not worth it at some point, right? Which I think is sad. I think I did learn a lot in college. There were like a lot of things that were useful. But yeah, it's like shit like that. Like I also remember when I grew up, like, to get my Game Boy, right? I think I literally had to crush 10,000 cans. My mom was like addicted to Diet Coke, and so was my dad. And there'd just be
like bags. In the house. Cans?
Yeah, there was like a can crusher thing, and I'd just be there for like an hour a day crushing cans until we collected it.
I really hope your mother has not drank 10,000 Diet Cokes, bro.
Yeah, it was bad. That's a whole nother thing. I won't air out her stuff. She's not drinking that much Diet Coke anymore. But I think we literally brought that to the metal place, like the aluminum place that buys cans. Yeah. And then I got paid, I think I had to get half of what a Game Boy was to buy the Game Boy, and they would pay the other half. So they do things like that, where it wasn't like I just get gifted the Game Boy. They would like do little lessons like that. So even though like I grew up in like safe neighborhood, I had food every day, I had internet, I had a computer, right? It still was not like, it was still like, if you want shit, you got to work for it, you know? You don't just get whatever the fuck you want for free. We'll provide the basic necessities, and they were also like very clear, like, if you're ever like in a spot, you can move back in here, right? But the goal
I've always opted for that philosophy, right? And obviously my family is far from the only family that shares this perspective. There's lots of families that do that. And, I see because this is something that I paid attention to, and I've gone through difficult times throughout my adult years where knowing that I had that thing to fall back, there was plenty of years where it was just like, I need help. And then the help wasn't there. The chastisement was there, right? By people that I would hope would help. And I wasn't living here, right? So I'm sure if I lived here, my mom probably would have, but it would have just probably not been a great situation. I don't know. I'm making assumptions. So I never got to put my mom to the test in that regard because I didn't live in the same state. So my mom's white. My dad and his family is Puerto Rican. I wasn't raised with them, but I met them as an adult. I met them as a kid a couple times, spent a couple summers in the Bronx in New York. And
wait, who'd you live with?
When I was a kid?
Yeah.
My mom.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, that was out here. Then I spent a couple summers in the Bronx with my father's family, and that was about it. And then I left the house super early, and that was it. I just never came back after that. But yeah, it's just I look at this and I just look at this from just like a financial situation, from a quality of life situation, like just the amount of families, arguably some of the most successful families in any community are families who share the lifestyle that you're describing or that Reggie's describing, right? Like they live all together on the same street, whether it's Latino families, Middle Eastern families, Jewish families, and it seems to be more cultural. I'm sure there is other cultures that do it, but these are the ones that you hear of most, and they also happen to be the ones that own all of the businesses on the block or all of the houses on the block. Like maybe there's something to that. And then these families that are like, oh, go figure it out yourself. Well, what do they own? And a lot of times it's not much. Now,
because you're restarting from zero.
You're not time.
Passing. Every single generation has to start from zero, and there's a benefit in the sense that you gain. You're hardened by that, but also like, I don't know. I think part of what I wanting to do it is to make a better generation. It make your generation better, right?
Yeah,
that's the idea, right? Like, I mean, I'm thinking about like probably. I mean, my mom's never talked to me about it, but probably we'll get this house whenever she passes away. And I'm thinking like, I'll probably just keep it, turn it into a rental or something, and then give it to my kids maybe. And then that's going to be worth like a ridiculous amount of money. And then you just keep passing it on, right? It's like a ton. I don't know. It is very interesting. Like, and like, because like there's different cultures. When I lived in the Dominican in the Peace Corps, and that was really interesting. Like the idea, their culture is like what you just said. Like you stay in the house until literally you're married, right? Which obviously that's like, I didn't do that. Like I did move out once I was ready to move out. So I don't know. It's interesting which ones work. There are pros and cons, I feel like, to every culture. You know what I mean? There's cons if you're like grow up super rich and then you become a spoiled brat because like you got literally everything you want, right? It's perspective, right? I think it's having perspective too on just like my mom, I think I did a really good job of being like, you are insanely lucky. Like you don't understand how lucky you are because I'm shielding you from a lot of shit, right? So be grateful. And she like constantly would remind me, right? So I think it just depends how you do it. I think you could be rich and give a kid a really bad attitude or a really good attitude. And then even a poor family theoretically could still spoil a kid, right? Or do stuff wrong, you know?
100% a poor family can spoil. I think it's values, it's character stuff. Like I'll tell you this, one thing that I really appreciated, because I don't regret my childhood. I don't even remember I was having this conversation. I was having this conversation in my community earlier today, and I was telling people, I was like, when I was in first grade, I had to wake myself up for school, make myself breakfast. My mom would set like a little cup out with a little bowl of cereal, and I would like go in the fridge. I woke myself up, poured my milk from the cup to the bowl, walk myself to school, walk to daycare. In fourth grade, I would walk home, do my homework, do my chores, make myself dinner, because my mom had to work. She couldn't afford a babysitter. Right. And I'm like 9 years old. Like, and so that was normal to me. Now, in hindsight, looking back, that's like a psychotic to have a 9-year-old, right? But that was all we had. And I remember my mom used to say this phrase, like, unfortunately, I can't afford a pair of rose-colored glasses. Like, I have to tell you what life is really like.
Right.
And that was the journey that I had. And I don't regret that at all. Right. But I think that we should learn from these stories, right? Like what worked, what didn't work, what was good, what was bad. And I look at people like, for example, Patrick Bet-David is a great example. I don't know that I would do this, but he's like, you know who I'm talking about, right? Patrick Bet-David?
Yeah, I know. Of course, I know who PBD is.
So he has this thing with his kids. If they want something, it's books. But it's like, you got to read 50 books if you want this toy. He has this thing in there, and I don't remember what it is, but it was like 500 books. If you want this PlayStation 5, you got to read 5.
It's not a bad way
to do it. Right? And they do it. His kids are going to be they're going to be far more educated than any of their peers. Like people go their entire lives and don't read anywhere near that many books. There are thousands of books in, and they're not even teenagers yet, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, dude, like I remember one of the most interesting things, like going back to the way that you're raised, like business, for instance. I didn't discover any self-improvement books, anything like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich, any of that stuff until like my senior year of college. Before that, like I literally just thought like business was for greedy people. Like that's how like my mindset was more or less. Because I grew up in like I grew up in like a liberal elite family in San Francisco, right? Like I remember one time my mom, I remember what was it? There was like I think I was watching like the 2000 or 2004 presidential debates or something like that. And they, like I think it was like the Republican one, and they were talking about how like redistribution of wealth is bad or something like that. And like how my mom's describing it to me, which is obviously like this most simplistic version because I'm like 9 at this point. She's like, yeah, it's like these fucking whatever, they're so greedy, right? And then I'm like, I remember being like, it's like I don't get this. Like, what is this? And like I don't get what's wrong with people who are rich helping out people who are poor. And then she just gave me a high five and left me at that. And I'm like, what? And like I remember just being like, is that what that means? Like the redistribution of wealth? And then it took me a long time to figure out like, okay, so there are cons. Like you have to like, there are cons to that, like anyways. But literally the idea of entrepreneurship, that just wasn't like a thing in my household, or I didn't even think about it. It was always go to college, get a high paying job, and like not like they would let me choose whatever I wanted to be, right? Like it wasn't like I was forced to be a doctor or something, but like generally something like that was the idea.
Do they know how much you make now?
Oh yeah.
Do they hate you?
No.
What? So what? Talk to me about, because you literally are becoming the people.
She meant no. She's talking like people who are making like, in her head, it's people who are like million, 2 million to them or more every single year, right? I'm not quite that rich, right? But like, or maybe even more, maybe like 5 million, 10 million, right? Like she considers me broke. She calls me broke. She's like, dude, Jonah, like that's cool and all, but you're broke. You don't own shit. I'm like, Mom, I own 3 houses. I'm like, yeah, we're in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, Colorado Springs. buy them in California. Who lives in Colorado Springs? Like who the hell live? Like, do those people have any money to pay you rent? Like, that's like kind of her attitude a little bit. I'm like, all right, Mom, well, fuck me, okay? Like, none of, like, I can't, like that's her attitude. It's funny. And it's just hilarious. Like I'm like, it's like, all right, well, whatever then, I guess. But like, they're good deals. Of like, anyways, no, like she doesn't think like all business people are bad or anything like that. It was more like the idea of redistribution of wealth. Like if you do make an insane amount of money, you should pay more in taxes, right? And like, I'm not necessarily against that idea, right? But bringing it all back to like what we were talking about beforehand, it just wasn't like an idea to start a business because my mom's just was like, oh, just my dad. I guess my dad did start a business, but I don't think he really like explained it to me well. He started a business and that went on for like 2 or 3 years. I don't know. Like it just, none of these books were in my radar. Getting rich wasn't in my radar because like, it was kind of associated with something that was bad, like not not that like it was bad to be rich, but like that isn't the goal of life, I guess, which isn't necessarily not true. Like it's not, I just think it should be, I think it's one goal of life, right? Yeah. I think your life becomes insanely better by being rich and you can do a lot more if you're rich, right? But anyways, I kind of had to discover it myself. And then once I started like learning about it, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm actually decently money motivated. I actually like this a lot. Like this is fun. Like I enjoy the game of business, right? So anyways, that's my little thing. It is interesting to think about like those things from your childhood and how they affected your development in entrepreneurship or anything.
I don't see Jonah stopping right now. You can tell me if I'm wrong.
No.
But I mean, if you told me 2 years from now, I just cleared my first 8-figure year, I wouldn't be surprised by that. I think you're an ambitious dude. I think you definitely are capable.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's what I'm going for.
Yeah. So like, do you think that changes the dynamic of either your mom's relationship towards like your choices or maybe her perspective on, okay, it's one thing to have a negative appeal towards money when it's somebody that I don't know and I assume these things about them, but now that it's somebody I know and I understand what went into it, that he didn't just roll around in this. He worked and he earned on, he built this himself, and he has people that are whose lives depend on him.
My mom, like, I didn't give her the credit where it's due. She absolutely thinks what I'm doing is awesome and all that. She's just like Jonah, just realize, like, you have a long way to go. Like, she would love it. She wants me to be successful. It That's wouldn't cool. Like, she like 100% supportive. Like, she wants me to become like a billionaire. And I'm like, I don't even know if I necessarily need to be a billionaire. That's like, that's just a title, right? Like, it's more about like actually doing what I want. Like, I want to clear 8 figures so that I can do a bunch of other shit, right? And help out a bunch of other people. I don't necessarily know if being a billionaire is necessary for what I want to do. But she would be totally supportive, right? Like, it's not even, it's more like, I get that rich and then I don't like help out anybody. Like, I just hoard the money, right? Like, that's what she thinks a lot of rich people do, right? And there's some that do that, right? Yeah. Sure. So it just, it depends. Like, she knows I'm not going to be like that anyways. Right? Like, I mean, she's seen like the checks that I give to charity and stuff like that. So like, she knows, like, okay, no.
Have you ever donated to the Quijano Fund?
Is that just your money? Like, I just
100%. Yeah, like, just like, go buy shit. What does
that mean?
Donate, bro. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Like, what do you mean? What is the Quijano Fund?
That's it. It's just I want to buy more TVs. I need more TVs.
But yeah, man, how's your, what do you feel like? What do you feel like your upbringing? How do you feel like it, like because you had a harder upbringing than me, obviously. How do you feel like that affected your entrepreneurial journey?
Honestly, dude, I'm a weirdo, right? So I've always been an outlier. And I can't think of a time where I ever haven't been. Like, I tried fitting in, but I just realized at a really young age that I never did, right? So I was raised in Albuquerque, New Mexico. People don't really know a lot about Albuquerque, New Mexico until like you know about Albuquerque, right? Like, you know, the rapper Xzibit?
No.
He's a rapper back in the day, right? He was on the Breakfast Club one time talking about Albuquerque. They're like, you lived in Albuquerque, right? And he was like, yeah, Albuquerque's a different place. It's a different planet. Like, you don't.
That's so like, bad. That's so not good.
He's like, I had to leave because I was going to be in problems or die. Like, that was the problem.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I heard him say this. This was like 2 years ago. I saw this podcast. That's why I left, because that's exactly what it was. It was like I was going to die or I was going to be in big problems. Albuquerque.
Wait, where do you live now?
I live back in Albuquerque, but it was a whole, me coming back as an adult. Like, one of my first things I did here was I was doing government contracts. Like,
you left like when you were 18, you mean?
17, yeah.
17, gotcha.
Yeah. So that back then, right? And like, one of my best friends who was like my brother growing up, he was supposed to join the military with me. Like, we talked about doing like the buddy program thing in the military. He never left. He's been in and out of prison like his whole life. When I got back here, he was locked up, and he had been for a long time. It's just a different kind of place. It was a different kind of place. So it was funny, like, heavy gang culture, especially in the 90s. You know, like seeing people get jumped into gangs and, you know, getting chased up the street with knives and weapons. And like, when you're in 4th and 5th grade, it's just a weird lifestyle. I didn't know any better, right? That's just all I knew. But growing up in that environment is a little weird because, like, I look like the people out here, but I'm not like the people out here because I'm Puerto Rican and I'm raised by a white woman from Upper Michigan. And so it's weird when, like, you just don't fit anywhere because I'm supposed to fit in with these people, but I don't. And so I don't know what it's like to just look different than everybody. But I do know what it's like to look like everybody, but still not be accepted because you're different anyways. It's just a weird dynamic, right? And so you combine that with the fact that gang culture was real heavy out here and people was getting ranked into gangs in 4th and 5th grade. And that was something that my mom's old school. There was a couple things that were not happening in her household. And me being in a gang was one of them, right? And she knew enough about what was going on outside that she was like, yeah, we're not doing the gang thing, right? I can't imagine having to talk to my 9-year-old about not joining a gang.
That's like, crazy.
Don't cross the street without looking both ways. Don't get jumped into a gang and start stabbing people. Have a good lunch. Like, I just don't understand. Like it's, but these are the questions that she had to answer for me, right? And so I didn't, which I think in one sense kept me off of a specific path in some regards, but make zero mistake, not being in a gang, in gang environments comes with its own problems, right? Because you ain't got nobody to get your back. And so you don't now, but they're not like, oh, he's out, leave him alone. It's like, oh, he's out, bet. You know what I mean? And so it becomes this different kind of issue.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, in any case, it was just a really, really weird upbringing. So I say all that to say this, because like these stories are endless, but I've just always had to find my own path. Right. That's been a recurring theme in my life, is just find your own path, because I've just never been able to fit anywhere. Even when I got into ministry, I didn't fit in ministry. So I've had to develop this resilience of being exceptionally comfortable with my own identity. Well, the tough part is we live in a world in Western society where understanding your identity is not actually a thing that's taught. We are raised in groupthink and fitting in and being accepted. And so I actually learned how to find an identity before I was able to be bold with it. And so it was a really interesting journey. But I remember when I was like 16 years old, my mom was like, all right, time to go get a job, go to McDonald's. I started selling rainbow vacuum cleaners. Like that was my first job.
Such an interesting difference. Like in my mom would like, I remember my mom in college being like, don't get a job, focus on your studies, like focus on your education, right? Because that's going to be a better long-term thing. So it's just like such an interest. I got a job anyway, so I'm like, fuck, like I want money. Like, I want to buy some shit. Mom. Yeah. So it's like, it's interesting. It's just crazy.
And here's the thing, like I got to give a huge amount of credit to my mom, because like she was 17 years old when she got pregnant with me.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Like she had the option for me to not be here, right? And she chose to not do that. And it's just like she was a kid raising a kid. She was a child. Right? Like, and so for her to have to be dealing, like, for that in context, when I was asking these questions to my mom, she was 25 years old, 26 years old, having to solve these problems. Yeah, and she's from Upper Michigan, right? Like the population's like 8. She didn't know anything about gang culture or anything like that. She has no concept for these things. And so it was really, really interesting navigating that. And so I just, the first thing I did was learn how to adapt, right? By learning how to fit into situations. I learned that sometimes standing out was the best way to fit in, which was a whole weird thing. And I think I really I've always have been really good at understanding people. I think that helped me a lot survive some really tough situations. And then, yeah, that was just kind of the journey, man. And then I left at 17, and yeah, it just kind of went from there.
Interesting. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. But I think we just got to learn from this stuff, right? Like, I think it's all too easy to duplicate the problems from our past. Right. And like my mom didn't have anything. Her mom didn't have anything. To my knowledge, their parents didn't have anything either. So obviously you duplicate what you know. One of my goals is to make sure that I'm duplicating something new, right? Like I want to make sure that as I grow in life, I don't carry those mistakes, because we all have them, right? I have them, my parents have them, their parents have. This is a human experience. And I think, but I think the problem becomes when you refuse right there, Joe, it's when you refuse to evolve, when you just get passive and you're just like, well, I'm just going to be who I am. Well, that's unfortunate, because what if there's more to you than who you currently are? I think life and you deserve more than to just accept what was handed to you. I think we can make more of that. And that's a big focus for me, right? And so I love hearing stories like yours, bro, because you have a good story. And I don't think that that's something to be ashamed of. And I think society would tell us it is. And I think that's silly. I think that your parents instilled fantastic values that created and gave you an opportunity to become somebody great. And I think that's something to be learned from. For people who didn't have that, that they can adopt what they didn't know and start breaking those curses and those barriers.
I think it's just a good thing to just like also realize that they're like, I think it's a good thing to just like not fully accept whatever your parents give you, right? Because I mean, my parents, like, there were things that they were definitely wrong about too for my life, right? Because things change and things are different, even though they did give me like a lot of education and a lot of lessons, right? That were really, really good. You have to realize just where each person is coming from, right? I think my family comes from much more of like a middle class mindset, And then I talk to people who have like millions upon millions of dollars, right? And like their mindset for getting millions upon millions of dollars, because that's just like a different journey than like someone who's like middle class or upper middle class. Like, like getting a 401k is not how you get rich, right? But it is how you're able to retire by 65 if like you're going down that route, right? And then there are people who come from like backgrounds like yours, Keanu, where it's like you're just given nothing. Like, like probably it sounds like you were basically like fucking figure it out, dude. Like just live life 100%. And make it work, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I think it's just something to keep in mind. Is like you got to think about the lessons you're going to give to your kids, right?
Yep. And I think that's why we do this, right? Like this is why we come out here and we do stuff like that. I honestly, bro, I think this is why I'm so passionate about what I do with my coaching stuff and like my communities and all the years before I had one, just giving it for free. Cause I just know what it's like to not have shit. I just know what it's like to have everything. It feels like everything's against you and you still got to figure something out anyways. Like you don't even have lemons, but you still got to figure out how to make freaking lemonade. That's weird. How am I going to do that? But you got to do it. Nobody cares about your excuses, right? Or your feelings. And so I think that this one thing, I'm not a huge fan of a lot about Jay-Z. But he did this mastermind interview one time and he said, I'm a butcher what he said, but this is one thing that he said that always kind of like resonated with me. The person was asking him what it was like growing up in an environment, right? He grew up in the projects, right? A variation of, you know, gang culture in a place like Albuquerque, right? Because there's not as many projects out here. I don't think there's any project out here actually, but he's just talking about that. Like, what's it like being a kid, right? Having to like, you know, there's gunfire and you're getting shot at, you're getting, you know, jumped, all these things. And he was like, his response was something along the lines of, he said, it was a beautiful upbringing. He said, because it taught you resilience. It taught you how to pay attention to your surroundings. It taught you how to understand the people's intentions around you and not be naive to what's going on. It taught you how to be strong. It taught you how to not rely on other people. And so he just continued to go like that was, and that resonated with me because I feel like that's a lot of, you know, what that taught for me. But here's the thing. It also ingrained some bad shit that you really got to learn how to let go of, some mindsets that you got to learn how to release, and some just street mentality that just doesn't serve you. I have friends that have never let that stuff go. And it's crazy to see a 40-plus-year-old person, right? Who like, I have friends who came up in these environments, and I have friends, people that I knew from when I was younger. Some of them didn't go. They made it okay for themselves. They got college degrees. They actually did okay. They're working in professional careers. Piss them off. They're 17-year-olds in the streets again. Like they looking for your front door. And it's like, bro, like that PTSD stuff ain't serving you, man. But it's all they know. Their brain sees opposition and they think the solution is a fight, right? So that those strengths become weaknesses if you don't learn how to balance them. And yeah, so like for me, like when I come to what I do here, right? Like Joe asked this question, I wasn't lost in the trench. It was just a trench. Like that's all I knew. So I think the way you pull yourself out is you just decide that you don't want to stop where you are, and you don't quit until you get where you want to be. And that's about it, because you don't have a map. If you had a map, you probably wouldn't have been there. By definition of being in the trenches, there's usually not a map. And this is why so many people who live in those lifestyles just use the lifestyle as an excuse to perpetuate it. And I think and then what happens is when you do get out of it, you got people saying, oh, you brand new now. Oh, you switched up. Oh, like you should switch up, right? People from that world make it sound like there's something wrong with evolving out of it. And I would say that if there's anything I've learned is that there's something extremely powerful about not looking like where you came from while simultaneously not forgetting. But that's just a trick that I think people don't solve for. But that's why I try so hard for what I do. This is why I help the way I help, Jonah, because the way I see it is there's a lot of people who are, even if they don't come from my background, maybe they could just come from like just a lower class family and they had a good family upbringing. Their parents were loving and were there and like worked really hard. And like it does, like there could be a lot of different circumstances, but if we can take what we learn and give value to somebody else to help them to create the path for their family that we're trying to create for ours, I think that is, it's an admirable thing. It's an honorable thing. That's your reasonable service, in my opinion. And I think that's something that's important to do. So that's why I like what we do. That's why I like this industry.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's a cool thing about I like it also in real estate too, because all of my social circles, my entire life growing up, were similar-ish. Like there were poorer kids, but nobody was in a gang. Like that wasn't like a thing. There were people who were poorer and like got in trouble, right? And did drugs and stuff like that for sure.
Yeah.
But there weren't like gangs where I grew up. Like there weren't shootings near me, right? Um, that's what I like about real estate is there's like people from like literally everywhere. I'd say there's probably more, if I had to give a guess, I feel like there's more real estate people who come from a lower class than an upper class background. I think real estate is more geared towards that because real estate I think is because the barrier to entry is so low, right? I think almost every like if you think about it, like out of all the ways to get rich, right, or to make a lot of money, real estate I think probably has the lowest barrier to entry, other than maybe crypto. But who the fuck gets rich in crypto? Very few people, you know,
and survives.
Yeah, and like stock market stuff, stock market, you have to usually the people who like my uncle has got very rich in the stock market. You have to start. You have to have like a decent amount of credibility to raise money from investors for stock market stuff. Real estate, it's just like, dude, do you got like a will and a computer, and you just make it happen? Yeah, and a phone, right? So that because it's so lower, I think it's like the best way to break generational curses, right? I don't think I have really that big of a generational curse to break. I think there are like some middle class attitudes that don't serve me particularly, but like in terms of finances, my mom and to an extent my dad are doing probably better than like 90 to 95% of Americans, especially when I hear statistics like I think what was it, like 50% of Americans don't have $800 of savings or something like that. I remember hearing like it's something crazy. Like that is nuts to me. But yeah, man, it's been an interesting journey hearing everyone's stories in real estate too, right? Like it's like very interesting to hear people's upbringings, how they came through it, all of that type of stuff. So yeah, it gives me a different perspective as well on everyone else's life.
Well, like I think that's a decent segue into like really the topic of the podcast today, right? Because I think because like a person decides they want to take on this journey of being successful, right? And I air quote that for obvious reasons because that's a really loosely defined term. And I think it's it becomes really easy to cross lines and really get to a potentially unhealthy place with this.
Yeah.
And I think it's a conversation that's important to have, especially in the holiday season, right? Because there are people with different philosophies as to what success is supposed to look like. What are your thoughts on this? Like, if you had to summarize your opinion on work-life balance, like, where are you? Are you like, fuck you, hustle, don't sleep, sleeps for bitches, sleep till when you die? Like
what the hell? Yeah, no, I got you. Like, it completely depends on what you want, right? Like, here's like how I think about it. For instance, for me personally, I would rather be working towards my business than fucking around, right? Like I get more joy out of building my business than I do like going to Thanksgiving for me personally, right? Like that doesn't give me joy. I love my family and I love being around them and I do it because I want to see them. I want to be in their life and all of that, right? My sister's laughing behind me because she's like, I guess he wants the business more than me. Right? But I actually get more joy from working on the business because that actually makes me happy because then I'm working towards all the goals that I want to be working towards, and achieving those goals is actually what gives me satisfaction in life, right? If you get more satisfaction from being with your family and making less money, you should do that. That's the thing, right? Like when like all these hustle people, like I love Sam Singh, great guy. He works literally every single day, right? And I'm like, I just don't agree with that. Like I always, Christians make me do Sunday, but like Sunday, I purposefully don't do work, right? Unless it's an emergency.
Make you do Sunday.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be Shabbat. It's supposed to be on Saturday, but you know, like if I did that, then
so
like
you took Sundays off because Jesus messed up your vibe?
More or less, dude. Because like everyone's working, because people in real estate are working on Saturday, but way less people are working on Sunday. So it's like, dude, okay, whatever. You know, was God really giving that much of a like a thing about which day you took a rest on? I don't think that really matters as much.
Have you?
It's more about taking the rest.
I would text him and see what he thinks.
I don't. Yeah, does that you got his number?
Yeah, no, I'll put it in the group chat. I got you.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. But anywho, like I think that's important. Like not like I think it's important to purposefully take a day where like I just don't even think about it, right? Like and it's not, and it's like more of an exercise of making sure that I don't do that, so that like I know I'm fully refreshed for the entire week, right? It doesn't, I mean, sometimes there's like 20 grand that has to be, that like I need to fill out, like an assignment needs to be filled out or something, right? And okay, fine, I'll do a teensy bit of work for that. But if it's not like a money thing, like immediate money, and then I'm ready to continue my life, then I'm not doing it, right? Like I let my entire company know, don't contact me on Sunday, right? It's just not going to happen. I'm not going to answer you, right? Because that's how I want to live my life. My business serves me. I don't serve my business, right? And the issue is most people serve their business. So it's about the lifestyle that you want. Even if I had $20 million, I feel like I'd be doing the same thing work-wise, because it's about the goals that I want to be attaining, not and how I want to be living my life, right? And I think what most people need to do is that. It's not, if you want to be working all the time, go do it. If you want to be, if you want to work less, go do that too. That's the great thing in real estate, dude. Like you could easily work half-time and make $100 grand a year wholesaling real estate. Easy, sure. Bro. Like easily. If
you're doing the right things, for sure.
Oh yeah. Like if you have a system and you're like operating, you could work half-time, 100 to 120 grand a year. Easy. Right. And like that could easily be your life if you want it to be, right? I want more than that. So I want to like work on other stuff, but you just got to know what your lifestyle, what your life you want, and make your business work around that and your goals. That's how I feel about it. It's going to depend person to person, but I don't know. What do you think?
No, I agree. I think this is a little bit, it's potentially even more nuanced than that, right? Because I think we really have to.
Had a weird echo thing going on.
Yeah, sorry. I use one of those you ever heard of Speechify?
I think I have. Is that the AI thing? Or am I wrong?
It's like an app that reads things for you. My brain has a really hard time reading stuff. Like I just can't do it. And so
you just can't read.
Yeah, I can't. Like I can't read. Apparently, I can't read.
Okay.
Yeah. Like real time,
can't read anything.
I am capable of reading, but my brain won't do it.
Okay.
Like anything bigger than a text, I'm like, I can't. My brain just goes.
It's not worth it.
We're not doing it. So it's voice clips, or I realize that not everybody's gonna send me voice clips. So I have all these apps. So especially like if I have to review a contract or something like that, there's no scenario where I'm reading that. So I just have this thing read it to me. It's like you pay for a year. Yeah, so it's like a whole thing, and you can like have like Snoop Dogg read it to you, which is
that's
Snoop
crazy.
Dogg reading you a business contract is fire, bro. I'm telling you, you have not done business. And
you should make a video on that. You should make a video of you just reviewing a contract in Snoop Dogg's voice. I think that'd be fire content.
Yeah, I probably should actually.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I do that, and sometimes I got a little extension, Chrome extension, and sometimes it just randomly starts reading. But no, I think so. When it comes to that. To your point, bro, I think it's important to define it, because I think some people don't even know why they're doing it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are just doing what they hear their favorite guru do. And the reality is their gurus ain't even working that hard, bro. Like, stop it. He is not working 74 hours a week. He's just not.
Dude, Pace is hanging out with his kids most of the time.
Here's the thing. When like for example, I'm gonna tell you this right now.
He works a lot, but
have you ever hung out with Pace? Like just you and him?
A little bit.
I have never, ever been. I've hung out with Pace quite a few times. Every day is like a roller coaster, dude. Right? Like,
yeah.
I remember one day we were hanging out and Yvonne was with us. We were in town. We were staying at, I think, one of his houses or his house. I don't remember. And so we went, he picked us up, I don't know, 8, 9 o'clock. Or we met at his house or whatever. And then we bounced. And it was like 9:30, something like that, 10. Like we had been together for like 2.5 hours. And Yvonne was like, we just did more in the last 3 hours than people do in their entire week. Like we were 17 different places. We filmed 3 YouTube videos. Like, bro, Pace is like a tornado, dude. Like this guy goes.
I believe it.
And I think that I don't know this, but if I had to suspect, Pace is probably on a journey that I think a lot of people hopefully get to, where you realize, okay, I know how to run like crazy because I have the energy to do that. Now, how do I balance this shit out so I don't lose my mind? Right. And so I think the first thing you have to acknowledge as a person is to give yourself permission to do that. And I think the problem with this is that hustle culture doesn't actually, it's doing better now. But for a long time, like when I was coming up, hustle culture was like, nah, it's team no sleep. Like go. And I was on that team, bro. Like I got pictures on my YouTube or on my Facebook that come up that are like me leaving the office at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was back before 8 o'clock. Right. And like very regular was it for me a decision. Am I going to sleep or am I going to eat? Because I can't do both. And I have to decide because I'm only going to get about 4 hours of sleep, 3 hours of sleep. And then I got to get back and do it again. And it was full days. Right. So this was like my life for a long time. And I enjoyed it.
Was this when you had your own business or was this like as a salesperson or what was this?
No, this was when I was just trying to figure out my entrepreneur journey, like in Florida. So I remember one time I helped launch a network marketing company. Like I helped build out their whole sales thing. And it was like, I ended up getting ripped off. It was like a horrible thing. I lost a lot of money. It was a bad situation. But like that was one example where like I was doing front of the room presentations the entire day. Like, and we recruited like 400-600 people in like a couple of months. Like we were destroying records nationally, like in the industry. It was really, really cool what we did. But I'd be standing at the front of the room and then a bunch of people would come in because we had a bunch of people coming in and then they would leave. And then an hour later, somebody else, dude, I was front of the room all day long, like doing presentations, doing sales, doing meetings, doing this. And that's just one example of things that I was doing. Right. But here's the nuance that I think is really, really important because to your point, you have to do what's important to you. You have to know your journey. You have to know where you're at. I think that matters. But then the question in hindsight, I ask myself is, would there have been benefit in balance? And I don't know the answer to that. I think that's a very personal question that you have to ask yourself. But I think in order to ask that question, you have to give yourself permission to say like, what do I want? Where do I want to go? Am I being intentional about the goals that I have? And am I giving myself grace? Because I think that two people working side by side saying they want the same goals, one is going to be completely built for that and they're going to run like crazy and they're good with it. And some people are going to really hurt themselves. They're going to burn themselves out. Psychologically, physically, their health, they're going to put themselves in a bad position because we haven't normalized asking the question like, dude, hey, by the way, play a video game, dude. It's okay. No one's going to hate. Like, it's okay. Watch a movie, right? And I know your favorite guru is going to give you shit. Oh, you're over here watching Netflix when you should be watching my podcast. Shut up, dude. You sound stupid, right? like it's okay. I have Call of Duty on my computer and I'm going to scare everybody right now. I play it sometimes. It's okay.
Should we check it out? He has 5,000 hours on Call of Duty. Like most of his day is just Call of Duty.
I literally never work. All I do is play Call of Duty.
Like you just do Zooms and that's it.
I'm actually playing Call of Duty on the Zoom. I'm not actually paying attention to the Zoom, to be clear. But I got the camera on, so I think I'm working.
Right.
But no, I think you got to be intentional, man. I think you just got to give yourself permission, and it just drives me crazy. Because when you listen to people talk about, oh, they're so stupid, you can't say you want to win and then you play in Call of Duty, or you can't say you want to win, but you're on Facebook, or you can't say you want to win, but you're watching Netflix. Shut up. Like, if you say you want to win and that's all you're doing, then those statements apply to you. But if you're already working a 12-hour day, like, dude, I start working within 20 minutes of me waking up usually. That's it. And I'm here at this freaking computer, right? And I'm here until I'm usually about to fall asleep. The amount of times during the week that me and Yvonne say, hey, all right, let's try to unwind a little bit. And then we'll watch something before we fall asleep. Try to watch a show, whatever, right? What percentage of the time do we actually succeed at accomplishing? She's just shaking her head no. We just don't, dude. Like, we just don't. And they're like, all right, we taking the weekend, we chilling. And then Saturday, we end up doing a bunch of shit. And then Sunday, we end up doing and then it's just like 6 o'clock on Sunday night. And we're like, what are we doing, right? So this, for me, why is this the case? Because I signed up for this. I signed up for a big work schedule. I signed up for 12, 13, 14-hour days.
But you also like it, right? Like you enjoy the 12-hour day, right?
I don't think about it. It's like, I enjoy it. Yeah, it's not like, oh my God, it's been 8 hours. I really don't want to be here. Like, yeah.
That I think is the difference, because I work similar. I don't work I probably work like 10 or 11-hour days, 10 to 11. Because what I'll do is I'll wake up and go to the gym for an hour or two of my day. But like, that's the difference between, I think, like like people who really want this. What I hate about hustle culture is like, it is convincing people who are having a terrible time to just have a terrible time doing entrepreneurship. And I'm like, dude, why? It's because I'm doing this because I don't have anything else I'd rather be doing, right? Like even if you gave me $10 million, which is plenty enough to just retire, I just wouldn't, because I'd rather be doing this, right? Like, I don't think people get that is the thing. And like, that's what I think people miss, is like the whole hustle culture thing is I'll take sometimes, like, I'm just like, dude, I am way too anxious. I'm walking around the block for 30 minutes. Like, I'm just going to go do that. I'm not working. I'm going to go listen. I might listen to an audiobook, which maybe you count as working, but like, I just need to take a walk and get the fuck out of my house. Right. Like, there's too much shit that is making me anxious right now. Right. Or like, I'll do like a quick meditation or something. Or, you know, I might take if I'm just exhausted, I might take a 20-minute nap. Right. What you need to do is make your life the way that you want it to be. My success is not based, at least in my opinion, it is somewhat based on the amount of hours I work. But if you're actually building a business, then you have to be building something on what you want to be working every single day, right? I think that's just the big difference that people meet, is like, I naturally like doing it, right? Create life you need no vacation from. Exactly. But also, I take vacations, dude. I went to Iceland for 2 weeks with my dad because I was like, I want to freaking do this. I want to like treat him. He helped me out so much in life. Let's have this go full circle, right? And I worked like 20 minutes every single day and was like, everybody, hopefully we figure it out, right? Everyone figure out their shit. Everyone has a role. I'll be back. Hopefully life is good. And, you know, I had a 15 grand deal assigned while I was in Iceland, right? So like, I don't know, man. Like, I think people are tripping about that part too much and more. And it's just like, you can have all of it. Whatever it is you actually want, you can have it, right? Unless what you want is to not work at all and you're just going to play video games all day, right? Like, you do have to do something. Right.
Yeah. But and I think it also comes down with intentionality, right? Like, I'll tell you, so are you familiar with like the Flow Research Collective or any of that stuff? So no. Are you familiar with the flow state?
Yes.
Okay. So flow state has now become like a neurologic, scientifically accepted thing that happens, right? And there are a couple of people who are probably the biggest names in this movement. One of them created like a whole coaching program. I'm actually certified as a flow coach. Nice. And it's super cool because I've always been a nerd about the human brain and how it works. Partially because of just the struggles I've had in that department, and partially because I'm just a nerd and I like learning. Like, my brain needs to learn things. So I got certified in this course a couple years back, and it's really, really interesting because they talk about the science of how the human brain works. And it's really fun to watch that, because while I think there's some gaps in that because they generalize it like everybody's the same, I don't think everybody's the same. I think everybody's different. And I think that while some of the principles that they teach are universally true, there are some that are not universally true. I think they're very, very personal. And I think knowing that for yourself is very important. But they talk about things like, I'll tell you one that I think a lot more people realize. I realized in this training that I struggle from this a lot. It's called decision fatigue. Have you ever heard of decision fatigue?
Of course. I feel like I've experienced it.
Yeah. I would say decision fatigue is actually a thing I struggle with currently. Why? Because I'm launching a bunch of new things, and everything that I'm launching requires decisions. How do we want to do this? How do we want to launch this campaign? How do we want to do this? How do we want to do that? What are we going to call it? What's the, like, every freaking day? Literally today, I'm on a Zoom, right? And I'm weird. I can't do 30-minute Zooms or hour-long Zooms. I did a 4-hour Zoom today, and I apologized at the end of it. And I was like, I'm sorry this is a short Zoom, guys. I felt bad that it was a short Zoom. Because it's my community, they joined it. I want to over deliver, so I feel bad when it's a short Zoom, and it was a 4-hour Zoom, and people were laughing at me. But this is just
wait, what? It was also a 4-hour Zoom, and you were apologizing. It's like, I'm sorry, guys. I wish I was here another 4 hours, but
correct. That's usually it,
That's
right?
Crazy.
But here's the thing: while I'm on there, we have all these new So I don't know. Are you subscribed to my email list, asshole?
Probably not. I don't know.
Don't, because you don't want this sauce. We got sauce in my emails, bro. I don't need you stealing my sauce.
Honestly, fuck you. Good. Don't get on it. I'm on your email list. I don't pay attention to my emails really. I pay attention to sign up.
Now she's gonna remove you.
That's hilarious.
So like we're trying to do like really, really cool stuff, and I will say, arguably, Yvonne may be one of the more genius people I've seen when it comes to just the way she does emails. She's really good at it. And so I just launched a newsletter today, right? And it's just going to be cool sales.
Newsletter going.
Yeah. And it's cool sales tips that we're just giving away for free. And it's going to be fun, right? Yesterday, because I told you about this challenge that I'm getting ready to build, I built out this whole ass checklist of all the shit that I'm going to be giving away to people who participate in the challenge, right? And as I'm building out this checklist, bro, like direct to agent checklist, all the things we're going to need to do this. I'm talking about lenders. I'm talking about underwriting checklists. Dude, everything. I got a whole checklist. And then I'm like, all right, cool. JV, whole checklist. Okay, cool. Direct to seller. I'm like, this is 3 whole courses I could sell. Right? I was like, nah, I'm giving it all away for free. Like, I'm just going to give it all away, and we're going to do this big challenge. So
nice.
What's the point? As I'm building all this stuff out, what is that? That all those lists was just a bunch of decisions. I had to control my brain to sit down and think. As I'm doing this thing today, Yvonne's like, yo, swear to God, I got 746 yos. Because I ain't respond to her. I'm like, bruh, I'm in the middle of a sentence running a Zoom. And she's like, hurry up. We're not going to. And she because I do this to one of my other guys, and to Jamarco. And she's like, you're not going to Jamarco me. Don't make me wait all day long to get your answer because you're in a call.
You're not gonna Jim Marco me. That's so funny. Jesus, bro.
So I'm like, so I gotta like put people on hold. But why? Here's why. Now let's get back to why this affects everybody. I find that when I have too many decisions to make, I didn't know how to name it. But what happens is my brain starts getting tired. I get physical exhaustion in my brain. And so then I'm tired psychologically, and now I can't make a decision because I'm not in a good headspace. I'm like, all right, let me just think about this for a minute when my head's clear. And it took me a while to realize that the reason my head's not clear is because I have too many decisions to make. It's decision fatigue, right? And so it creates this perpetual cycle. I don't want to make decisions in a not clear headspace. Let me wait till my head's clear. Okay, well, let's make the decision. My head gets foggy. Why? Because I got too many decisions to make. Why? Because I keep postponing my decisions. And so it becomes this endless cycle. So things like decision fatigue, and that's just one of the many examples of guys, neurologically, your brain and your body is built to manage things in a certain way. And while there's amazing things that you can be really good at, I don't know why I can stand in front of the room and talk for hours and not get tired. I don't know why, no matter how shitty I feel, the second that camera turns on, all of a sudden I have something to say. You guys have no idea how many times I've been on a Zoom, whether it's in a nightly dial, whether it's in one of my community Zooms, whether it's been on the podcast, where I will literally walk over and collapse on the couch and pass out because I was miserable. I had no reason being on that Zoom. But for whatever reason, my body is built. Once that camera comes on, I can do it, even if I couldn't do anything else. And so you learn these things about yourself. So the decision fatigue is like a thing. I've had to how do you make these decisions? How do you become efficient at making decisions? How do you give yourself permission? And so for me, in the midst of navigating all this stuff, I'm actually going to try doing a little bit more balanced thing. Like I'm going to try, and I don't know if I'm going to succeed at this because the things I signed up for still have to get done, but I'm going to try and see if I can start stopping my day earlier. Like imagine, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this off. I have not been able to pull this off. What if I'm done working by 6 o'clock and I'm sitting there and I'm relaxing and unwinding for the evening, right? I'm going to try it. Why? Because anybody who's done this, who works like crazy and then takes time off, what happens to your brain the second you take time off and start thinking?
It starts going back to work.
It starts going back to work. And honestly, some of your best ideas come from that situation of time of unwinding, right? And so part of the reason I want to start being intentional about taking time off is because I think it may increase my creativity. And it may actually allow me to come up with better ideas.
Do you work every day?
Yeah, usually. I really try to take at least a day, dude. I really try.
I take Sunday off. Like you're gonna agree with me because you're also religious too, or like there is my perception with religion is like, dude, I don't know if it's real, but like there's wisdom in this. Take a whole day off, you will double your revenue. I just promise you, because what happens is like throughout that day, you're not doing anything and you're relaxing, but like ideas just flow through you. Yep. You believe in God. So you'll say that it's like God giving you these ideas. I think it's like, I don't know, the universe, something like it's just literally like things start popping into place where it's like, wait a minute. What is what is we talked about this the other time when we had our business podcast where like, that happened where I figured out like, okay, the real problem in my business right now is my hiring process. I am not hiring enough salespeople quick enough, right? Like instead of me trying to find the perfect person over and over again, what I need to do is hire 3 people at a time, right? And that'll solve me not being able to 100% hit it every single time, right? Because it's about 1 in 3 act managers I found worked out, right? That was an idea that came to me on a Sunday, right? Yeah, man, try out either the 6 p.m. or try that out. It's like the thing too, and Alex Hormozi said this is it's actually productive to rest, right?
It is.
If you sleep 8 hours a day and then when you work 10 hours or 12 hours, if you get more done, that's all that matters in the end, right? It doesn't help to do a 16-hour day and sleep 4 hours, and then the next day you just do half-ass work the entire day. That's counterproductive, right?
And that's honestly something I've been really, and this is why. So here's the thing: I'm certified in this shit. Like I understand the science behind this, and I'm still not doing it. Why?
Right? Because
you signed up for this. This is what I got to do. Oh, it's not going to finish itself. Like all the deadlines, I got this and that. I was supposed to belong to this challenge a long time ago. I hired a VA. Jonah really told me I need to hire a VA. We spent all this time training her.
Puts it on me.
Literally fucking puts it on me. Thanks, Jonah.
Fucking Jonah. Dumbass liberal again, making me make mistakes.
Exactly, bro. No, but it was just like, these are the things. And so, but I just think this is what I mean when I say you have to be intentional, because certain things will not do it. They won't do it for you. They won't happen for you. You have to make the time. And I may try it and it may not work. I may try it and fail at it. One thing I've been getting really good at, and this is something I've been struggling with, is trying to make sure I get the amount of sleep that I need. Because I'll wake up in the morning and I'm trying to get to bed earlier, which is why I'm trying to stop my day earlier so I can go to bed earlier. Because by the time I'm falling asleep, recently it's been back to 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, I just can't keep doing this, because when my brain wakes up at 6 or 6:30, which is a good thing, because I've been trying to train myself to do that my entire adult life. To my previous story, I started out most of my life going to bed at 3. So waking up at 6 was not a thing. So every morning I'm waking up at 6:30, but I'm like, I've been sleeping for 3.5 hours. I've been sleeping for 4 hours. I can get up now and then just be shit the entire day, or I can get my day started late, but have better quality throughout the day. And I'm like, I hate this decision I have to make at 6:30 in the morning, every single morning, right? What do I need to change to fix this? These are the little nuanced things that you have to figure out. And ideally, when you're growing your business, you grow a team so that way productivity doesn't go down if you're taking time off. But a lot of us are not at that point, right? I'm relaunching a lot of things. That's the point of this challenge. So I don't have a huge team like I have in the past, right? So it's just like, it all falls on me. How do I make this work? So we'll see. Maybe I'll try to stop and work at like 6 o'clock and just chilling, right? Unwinding, letting my brain relax. Maybe I'll try. I've gotten good at being less on business calls on the weekends. Like I'll stay out of my phone. Like on Sundays, I will almost I 90% of the time don't even take my phone off do not disturb. I leave it on sleep mode. Like so I just don't look at it. I've gotten good at that. But then I'll come over to my computer and then next thing you know, I'm like, let me take care of this real quick. So that's something I got to work on. We're decent at it. I'm not perfect at it, but this is why I have this challenge, right? So that you guys don't know, last week we were going to do the podcast and Jonah was like stressing out.
Yeah, I fucked it up.
Jonah was, here's the thing, right? Jonah's stressing out and Jonah's over here flying to go see his family in San Francisco. And in my head, I'm like, who cares, dude? Like, it's a podcast. Yeah. It'll be here next week. Like, we could you got to live your life. You got to enjoy your life on top of all this stuff. Because otherwise, what are you doing it for?
Yeah. No, 100%, man. Yeah, I also appreciate that because also the week before that, I was like, what are you talking about? We're going to fucking work through the holidays. We're doing the podcast.
So much crap about the idea of canceling the podcast for Thanksgiving.
I was like, bro, if you're a bitch, you're going to cancel the podcast. Like, that's like more or less what I said.
And then he canceled the podcast.
And then I canceled the podcast. So, you know, I set myself up for that one. Try it out, my man. I mean, like, dude, I can't function without 8 hours of sleep. Like I lose it. Like if I get less than 8 hours of sleep, my entire next day, I'm just like barely working. Like it decks me. Right. So like I have to personally, try out different stuff. Try out the 6 p.m. thing. I think up to you. Like you'll get as much as you need to get done when you need to get it done. Right. It's just, it's an interesting thing. If you give yourself a certain time limit on more things happen, right, during that time limit. So it'll work, right? I think you should like try that out if you want, but I think you should also try like really making it an intentional thing, no work Sunday. I think you'll find that'll be like even better. And I think that's biblically based too, which I think you also, believe in. So
yeah. Yeah, and I think like why not? I want to try them all because I think we should. Let's get some taboos off the list, bro. All right, let's clarify. Is
every day
watching Netflix a sign that you're a loser and you don't want to accomplish your goals?
No, definitely not.
Can you be successful and watch Netflix?
I feel like it'd be really funny to just cut to like Pace watching Netflix, like just chilling one day. I
hope Netflix sponsors this. We're giving them a huge shout out. We could have said a lot of money. All right, what about video games? Are you a piece of shit if you play video games, Jonah?
No, dude, I play video games.
Are you a loser?
I make more money than 90% of people.
That's true.
In real estate. I play like strategy games. So I don't know if you even know these games. Like, do you know the Total War franchise?
No. Total War, I think so. It sounds vaguely familiar.
It's like military strategy stuff /
What are you, 84, dude?
It's fun, bro. I'll show you it sometime. It's pretty fun. It's like games like, Civilization. You must know Civilization.
What?
No. We're
I heard syphilis. One in the chat if you heard
Civilization. Syphilis. You ever played Syphilis, bro? Yeah, that's the
Nah, I have not heard of Civilization.
Okay, never mind. Whatever. Those are my types of games.
Even yourself also heard Syphilis, just to be clear.
What I like about those types of games is it's those games, and then also there's a lot of indie games. I like games where I can play and like Call of Duty falls into this, but like I just don't have a game console. I like games where and these strategy games, some of these aren't like this, but like I like games where I can play for an hour and I've like completed a game. Like the game ends and it's like, okay, the game ended. I can now do whatever, right? I struggle with the ones that like the game isn't over and then I have to stop midway. Like RPGs and stuff like that. So I mainly play like indie games that are like that. Like there's one called Hades, one called Slay the Spire. I play a decent amount of video games. Like on Sunday, I'll spend like an hour or 2 or 3 even just playing video games. We should do
a whole podcast playing like Call of Duty, bro. Or Fortnite.
I'd be down. That'd be fun. Do you have it on PC?
Yeah. Okay. I could legit stream it from here.
I'd be down. My laptop would not be good enough for it, probably, but my desktop, we could do it like when I'm back in Denver. I'll download it. I haven't played I haven't played Call of Duty in like a decade, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, I like. You know what's funny? Fun story. The reason I even got back into video games is because my brain has a propensity to just like obsess over things, right? And before we moved here, came and hung out. We visited, stayed at my uncle's house one weekend, way up in the mountains in Santa Fe, and he had like PlayStation. And we were in the mountains for 2 or 3. Yeah, he had a bunch. And so he was like, we were up there, and it's in the middle of nowhere in the mountains. And so we were just playing video games like all night, and it was like super fun. So me and Yvonne got back to Florida, and we're like, let's just do that. And so we're psychopaths. So we left for Doritos one day, and then ended up spending.
Was that a city? Doritos?
No. Doritos, the chips. Like we left the house this was in Orlando. We left the house to go get Doritos.
Oh, gotcha.
Ended up stopping at Best Buy because Best Buy is my happy place. And we spent like $12,000 at Best Buy.
Holy shit.
We bought the first 4K curved TV because 4K TVs had just come out, right?
That's crazy. All right.
It was like 10 years ago. So 4K TV, like we spent that. We bought a full thing. We bought PlayStation. We bought an Xbox.
That's it.
We bought a Wii. Then we ended up having 3. Like we still probably around here somewhere. We have 3 PlayStations, 3 Xboxes. Like we had like there's one right there, the Star Wars one from like years back. But because what I realized is this, so we started playing somewhat regularly. And when I moved out here, we played more because in Florida, I was on that mindset, like always going, always doing stuff for a long time. I get to New Mexico and nobody works like that. And then I start doing my government contracts and everybody's done working at 4:00. I'm like, well, what the hell am I going to do with the rest of my life? Like, I'm done working. I didn't know what to do. And so we started playing a lot of video games and it became cool. You want to see a grown adult lose their mind for no reason whatsoever? I feel like Mario Kart is the way to do that. Put an adult on Mario Kart. Have you ever played Mario Kart?
Of course, bro.
Bro, the amount of times me and Yvonne would probably cuss out some 5-year-old unknowingly. Motherfucker, because they hit us with a turtle. We were about to win.
That's so funny. That's so good. I love that.
Yeah, it was rough. But here's what I realized. If I played video games before I went to bed, I would always fall asleep earlier, faster, and sleep better. Why? Here, I figured it out because I care about this stuff, right? What I realized is if I went from my day working, all right, it's time for bed. Let me go to sleep. What am I doing? I'm laying in bed thinking about the entire day and thinking about this and thinking about this. And so I laid there for 3 more hours. Exactly, Robert. What I realized, if I just take an hour and I just like play a video game, instead of spending 3 hours laying in bed, that hour or 2 completely shut my brain out. It focused my brain on something different. So by the time I'm done, I just go to sleep and I'm not thinking about anything, right? And it's much easier to stop thinking about work because I'm like, oh, I'm not going to think about that. And I go to sleep. And there are so many times where I would fall asleep intentionally thinking about the game that I played because I could fall asleep doing that. Because if I didn't, I would find myself thinking about work. And I found out that was a hack for me. If I couldn't sleep, I would play video games before I go to bed. It was the only way I would go to sleep. If not, I'd just lay up all night. So you just got to give yourself permission to do things like that. And I think you just got to test it.
100%, bro. I mean, like, you got to figure out the lifestyle that works for you, right? Like, just different examples. Like, literally, I always work out in the morning, almost always. Like, I'd probably say, like, probably 5 out of 7 days a week. Because when I do that afterwards, the rest of my day is just so much better. Like, just even if I do like a run, even if I don't have enough time, I woke up late, I had shitty sleep or whatever, I try to run for like 15 minutes or like 20 minutes, right? It's like it makes it where I am just more naturally the leader that I need to be, right? And then if it's a work from home day, I almost always take an hour in the day where I just like eat lunch, watch YouTube videos, kind of clear my mind a little bit, and then do the work the next day, or then do the second part of the day with work. And then every day I have like an hour to 2 hours at the end of the night where I either just watch YouTube videos or play a video game, right? So I probably spend like 3 hours a day resting and then maybe like an hour or 2 working out. But I probably work 10 hours a day. And then, and that it's, did that math right? And then 8 hours of sleep. And then maybe there's two, maybe like, and then there's an extra 2 hours in there that I'm missing somehow. But like that is like how I know I'm the most productive, right? So what you have to figure out what makes you the most productive, and it's going to be the schedule you enjoy the most too, right? That's the beauty of entrepreneurship, is you get to make your workday when you want to, right? You have to somewhat rely on other people. There are certain better times to call sellers or call agents, obviously. So you have to plan that out, but you get to decide it. Like there are some days where like I'm like, damn, I got a 14-hour workday and that was great. And then there's some days where I'm like, dude, today is not the day. I'm working like 4 hours. Like I'm just not feeling it. Everyone can figure their shit out, like that. Like, and you just got to give yourself permission to do that sometimes. Right. Pace, I feel like might work every single day. I don't know. He's like kind of like a different beast, but like Jamil, for instance, he always starts working at 10 a.m. He's like, nobody can contact me until 10 a.m. Yeah. Right. I'm hanging out with my family. I'm making breakfast. I'm doing whatever the hell I'm doing at 10 a.m. until 10 a.m. Right. It's just like figuring out the right schedule for you, I think, is such an important part of entrepreneurship and life. That's the great thing about entrepreneurship is you get to just set your schedule. You don't have to answer to an employer who's like, you have to work from 9 to 5, right? That's the great thing, or one of the great things about it. So take advantage of it. Don't just slave yourself into a 14-hour workday just because someone told you that, right? Yeah. Do what's going to make you, in my opinion, do what's going to make you the most productive. And hopefully, some people are lazy, but hopefully that will be the life you enjoy the most too. At least for me, it's usually when I'm enjoying myself the most. Like like some days it's like, I'm just going to work 4 hours. I'm just not feeling it. I need to de-stress today, right? It's not often. Usually I work 8 hours at least, just because I don't have many days like that. But like, if it's just one of those days where like I need to work 4 hours, I will do that, or like take a fucking vacation. I feel like entrepreneurs also don't take vacations ever, right? It's like, bro, go do something, go to Iceland, go to fucking blah, 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 right? Like money will always be there. Like there will be plenty of time to make money. Like for instance, this is something I was thinking about.
I've not been good at the vacations, Yvonne, at all. I've only been on 2. I don't count last year RV thing. But that was cool. That was fun. But that wasn't like a right full vacation.
It's just up to, but like also like it's just up to you on like when you like what you want to do and like whether it's worth it or not too, right? Like for me, my dad is I'm gonna fuck up his age, 67, 68 at this point, right? I don't know how many. I think that might be the last vacation I get like that, right? Like there's just a certain point where age catches up to you. Me and my dad did that vacation. It's a pretty like physical vacation, Iceland. Like you're hiking. Like what you do there is you're hiking. You're like kayaking. You're doing like physical shit. You're driving. How we did it was like it's a road trip around the country. So you're driving for like a significant portion of the day sometimes, right? Living out of a van. So it's pretty physical, right? And both me and my dad felt his age. He was able to do it, go into caves, do all this adventurous stuff. But if I waited another 5 years, I don't know. I don't think I'd get that, right? So yeah. I think what was good about that vacation is I was like, man, I should treat everything like this. Like, what if this is the last time you could have a vacation like this with your mom, your dad, or your loved one, right? Like there is only so much time in life. So you got to figure out like what is worth it, So it's just something to be conscious of. Like, I don't know. Like, and I get it. Like at the very beginning, if you haven't made any money yet and you're like stressing about money, like I get that, right? That's when it's like this, like, I understand you don't need to take a vacation if you haven't made any money yet. Like if you're making a decent amount of money, like just remember, like the empire building and all that will always be there. But you got to remember to like live life also. So yeah, that's my little rant on that. I lost you. I don't know if that's me or you.
Oh, no, that was me. I pushed the button. No, I said, yeah, no, I agree, man. I just think that the reality is you get one life. And I think too many of us stay in the passenger seat of our own lives and just live in existence and complain about what happens around us instead of being intentional and choosing the life that we want.
Yeah.
And when you're doing that, you're kind of an architect to a certain degree. So you got to decide what does and does not fit. And sometimes in order to figure out what that is, you got to test things. You got to try out new stuff. And then stuff stops fitting, or your taste changes, or seasons change, or what you're doing changes. But I think the summary is like, I think it's okay. I think we agree on this, man. It's okay to live your own life and, you know, build your own journey and be good with that. And if hopefully there's a reduction in the culture of entrepreneurs that, you know, tries to make you feel like crap for doing that. But
they're also just liars, dude. Like, I'm sorry. Some people are just like, they're all lying about this shit. Like, I love some of my entrepreneurial friends. I'm like, bro, fuck you. I saw you playing Call of Duty. Like, yeah, I see that hustle porn you put on your thing. I'm like, okay, dude. Yeah, whatever, bro. Like, I understand. Like, it's just BS. These people take breaks and shit like that, you know? Like, it's not like I know Pace isn't. I mean, Pace doesn't like talk about you should be constantly working all the time, right? Like he does work a lot, but also sometimes he's just hanging out with his family, right? And like hang out with his daughters and all that stuff. So,
and he should, right? Like this like, yeah. I think it's sad that that's not the case. I agree. A lot of those people are lying. I remember one time I had a buddy I was doing some business stuff with, and he had his daughter who lived in a different state, and the way he hung out with her was they would play Fortnite, and me and him had kept missing each other. We had been trying to connect on a business deal that we were going to do together. We were going to acquire a business. This was in the public side of things. And so I was live streaming something, and it was like a Zoom, right? For like one of my competitions or something. This was like last year. It wasn't that long ago. Maybe earlier this year, actually. And so I didn't end the Zoom. I didn't end the screen. I ended the Zoom, but I didn't end the stream. And so I messaged him, and like this was like all on. Like I didn't turn my thing on. I'm like, yo, what are we doing? He's like, hey, I'm about to play Fortnite. And I know this guy. I've known him forever. I know his whole family, right? Like I introduced him to his wife. And he's like, I'm about to jump on Fortnite with the girls. Why don't we just talk there? And so we're talking about this deal playing Fortnite, and I'm getting messages like, yo, like you're like live streaming Fortnite. I'm like, and I think
is that where that clip came from that you sent me?
The one that I sent you? No, that was a different night of me just being a G.
Just playing Fortnite. All right.
Just get on my level.
I was like, what the fuck?
I said a random snipe clip to Jonah of me playing Fortnite.
Yeah.
42 years old playing Fortnite. Get on my level.
Love it.
Not ashamed. But yeah, people were reaching out to me. And I think some of the people acted like the tone was like they caught me. And I'm like, what do you mean you catch me? Like, bro, go download the game, bro. Like, I'll show y'all. You can catch these hands. Like, what are you talking about?
Use the lobby invite, dude. What are you doing?
I'm just scared. Like, you think I'm ashamed of this? But it's just it reminded me the stigma, like, oh, you're an entrepreneur and you're playing a video game.
You're supposed to be consistently working.
Yeah, it's like, first of all, I just got off of a 6-hour Zoom and it's 9:00 at night. Kiss my ass, right?
Yeah.
But here's the problem. This is how people think, and it's sad. And I like, who knows? Maybe if we're just a little voice out there rippling to people, it's okay to live your life. It's okay to enjoy your life. It's okay to do things that you enjoy and discover what that is. And as long as it's like legal and ethical, if you want to like knit underwear for yourself or play Fortnite or Sudoku or, you know, watch murder mystery dramas. What's up, Malcolm? Oh, thank you. Like that's cool. To like find your thing and unwind and let your brain relax. Like this is a good thing. This is what we should be doing.
Yeah.
100%. If we do a live stream playing a video game, like we do a whole podcast, what would the podcast be about if we did it playing like Fortnite or Call of Duty?
Is DQ trash at Call of Duty? Let's find out tonight.
This
guy's KD is 0-11, bro. This guy didn't get a single fucking.
You want to know what's funny? I legitimately this is a true story. I wanted to stream. So when Fortnite, I was doing my government contracts, right when Fortnite started doing a thing, being a thing.
Okay.
I had a buddy who was a professional streamer, like a professional Call of Duty player and Halo. Like he won tournaments. This guy was disgusting. It was embarrassing to play with him. He was just ridiculously good. And so I'm like, let me just try to stream. Let me give this thing a shot. And I was like, I just got a mouse and keyboard like setup. I just started playing on a PC. And I'm like, I'm going to stream this journey of me learning how to play. Dude, I don't know how to describe my own actions and be politically, yeah, there you go. Right. I get that. But neurologically and psychologically, you have to actually let your brain rest, bro. Right.
Nathan, bro, you're in Mexico. Bro, don't tell me you're not partying in Mexico, dude. Like, he's literally in Mexico. He was in Mexico like a couple months ago. He's like,
and he wakes up at 4 in the morning.
Bro, and then Nathan, get out of here. You're enjoying your travels as well, dude. I was literally on a flight with him to Mexico like 6 months ago, bro. Like, come on, dude. Like, yes, you are working there. I agree. But you are definitely also chilling a little in Mexico.
He says no, bro. He digests his while work. That's his fun. He doesn't even eat food.
I definitely believe, Nathan, you're just
the hustle.
You're just on your computer making calls and doing Zooms while in Mexico in your room. Come on, dog. Like
the game. That's what he does, bro. He doesn't need he does dope shit and he films it. That's it. That's all you got to do.
All right. I mean, that's one way of yes, you can film all of it and then it becomes influencer stuff and you make money from it.
That's it.
But look, I get it, dude. Like I'm not like picking on you, bro, but like it's and like that's a great way to do it too, is like make your work into the life that you want. I mean, that's what we're talking about here, right? But yeah,
bro, we need to do it. So the long story short is I tried to stream the game because I had nothing to do, dude. Like I was done. I'm like, what am I gonna do? So I'm like, I was so bad, dude. It was so embarrassing. Like trying to learn how to play on mouse and keyboard. I'm like walking over here into a wall and then walking over.
You could get a controller for your computer.
I hate controllers. I'm really bad. I just can't figure out how to do shooters on controller.
So you're not good with controllers or mouse and keyboard?
I wasn't at first when I first started playing. Like this is the day one of me owning a computer. I streamed how I looked. It was bad. It took me a while. Okay. It took me longer than it should have to. I got decent. I'm okay now. Like I don't think I'm a professional streamer by any.
I think it's gonna be hilarious if I scrape you in Call of Duty. I haven't played in like a decade, and like we do a stream, a video game stream. Sorry, keep going.
Who wants to join the podcast where we see who's the best
huge lobby together?
We got to get. I think Tyler will do it. Tyler Townsley. I think he'll join.
He'd be down. We get a few people in there.
He's probably. I think he probably. I gotta stop talking shit to Tyler. Because every time I talk shit to Tyler, he kicks my ass. And it's embarrassing. Well, I'm going to be a man and admit it. Like there's at the masterminds, you know how we used to go. So how many masterminds did you go to in Arizona? You went to a couple, right?
I only went to, I didn't go to that many sub 2 masterminds. I only went to ours, the one we went to. Just because I was like kind of busy. On the
first one, but they made this habit to where we would go to
go-karting.
The go-kart place. Yeah. So we went to the go-kart place. There's a virtual reality thing.
Yeah.
And I'm decent at virtual reality. Like I got the Oculus headset. And a couple years back when I first got my first one, this is probably before I was in real estate too. There was like this shooting game, like an alien shooting game that Yvonne downloaded, and I started playing. And like within an hour, I was #1 in the world. Swear to God. I was #1 in the world. Now, in fairness, there was like 14,000 people that played the game. It's not like this was a gigantic.
Fairness, there were 20 people playing the game.
Yeah, there was 3 people, and I was #1.
I mean, dude, out of 14,000, it's so solid, you know.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge amount. It wasn't like Call of Duty, but it was still not for nothing, right? I'm
not nothing.
Every time I played a game like that, I was destroying. Like I was always winning. And so we went, and I called Tyler out. First, I never played the one at the thing, and it was bad. He beat me like 3 times. I blame a lot of third-party scenarios.
Tyler's fun, dude. What me and Tyler do always when I'm in Phoenix is we go to the casino. I don't know if you know much about Tyler. He knows how to I don't know if I should be saying this on the podcast. He knows how to count cards. Yeah, like he worked at a casino. Count cards? Yeah, bro. So he was yeah. So we were at like blackjack. My job was just like kind of chat it up with the dealer, and he was just keep a conversation going. I gotta pay attention. I'm gonna do my best to seem casual about it. And then he's like, when I kick you, hit, right?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm not joking. We did this the last time I was in Phoenix.
This, bro? How were we in Vegas together and we didn't pull this off, dog?
This was after Vegas. This was after Clever when I started talking to Tyler about it and going to a casino, right? Next time we're in Phoenix, bro, we should hit him up. It was really fun. It was cool. It was hilarious. It was me, him, and Kevin Cho in the casino. Like it was such a
Kevin looks like
Kevin, this was also when Kevin was like when was this? Like I don't know. Like it was just like
old enough to be in the casino, bro.
He was like barely, like I think he was like 22 or something. But anyways, it was funny. He's like, I'm not gonna gamble. This is just stressing me out too much just watching you guys gamble. And I'm like, all right, bro, like come hang out, I guess. That was a good time. Like now that's like our thing. Like whenever we, cause yeah. So it's fun. He knows how to count cards. So
did you make money?
No, he fucking was like, this is where we gamble big and we lost. And I'm like, dude, I promise you. He was like, I promise you. I know that seems like I fucked that up, but what just happened had a 1% chance of happening. He told me. I'm like, well, fuck you, whatever, dude. Whatever, bro. I just lost $100, but whatever. It's what it is.
We were all out there at Vegas a couple years back. And it was Pace, Jamil, me. There was a handful of us that were out there, and Jamil was playing at like the big tables.
Oh, bro, I bet.
And we came the night's ending. Everybody's going to bed, and there's a handful of us, and we're at these last tables. And I didn't even because I don't gamble like that because I'm just not good at it. I don't know how to play those games, so I'm not going to just give my money away for free. Like I'll sit down and I'll put like $20. Just because, right?
That's what I do. I don't spend more than like $200 a night.
Yeah, but like they had me like $200 in chips, right? And I'm like, all right, cool. So we just sit there at the blackjack table, and I don't know what I'm doing. And so, but you get a bunch of us with personalities. We're like talking to the girl. We're like making it cool with the pit boss. The pit boss was just hanging out with us, and he was like, "Nah, hit here." Like he was like giving us the hit, bro. Everybody had got their ass kicked. We were all on our last hands. Everybody was done. We were out.
You had blackjack or something?
We came all the way back, just ran the table hand after hand, and then just chucked deuces and left, bro. It was pretty dope.
There are some funny moments at casinos like that. Like I've had that happen, and I've also had the opposite happen too, where it's like I'm so up and then I'm just so down all of a sudden. But that's gambling.
Yeah, I'm not a big gambler just because I've never been good at it, but I would definitely go with Tyler. Just so you know. It's not illegal to count cards. It's just frowned upon in casinos. That's how you get.
Well, they'll kick you out. It's not illegal, but they'll ban you from the casino.
They'll ban you from the casino.
Yeah.
No, you don't. No, it's not illegal. It's just it's just frowned upon, right?
The casinos will ban you if they think you're counting cards.
Yeah.
So, like if they catch you, they're gonna be like, you're never allowed to come back.
So I mean, like the risk reward ratio, like they rigged that whole thing for the house to win. If you decide to come back and you work the system, I feel like that's just the cost of the game.
Oh yeah. I mean, it just is what it is, right? Like you just have to show that you're not like you just can't win too much, basically. Like as soon as you start winning a lot, they're gonna start watching you.
I'm 100% texting Tyler and telling him I'm disappointed that he has not told me this. And next time we're all in a state with the casino together, we definitely
be fun, dude. I'd be down. No,
Yvonne will not be there. I can guarantee you, Yvonne will not be there because she is such a rule follower.
If I remember correctly, he was like a semi-professional poker player before real estate. If I'm remembering this correctly, he either worked at a casino, or he was like a semi-professional poker player or something like that. Right?
Really?
It was something like that. So, anyways, but yeah,
I played poker like twice. I used to have a buddy who was a professional poker player. I would do it. I feel like I could be decent because I'm good at people, right? Like people's my thing.
Poker's fun. It is all about people, right? And what's cool is you can go there at most casinos. There's like a poker thing where like the bets are like $1, like the blinds are like $1 or $2. So you can like play poker for a while and only like you're playing against actual people. You're not really playing against the house. You're somewhat playing against the house too, but it's fun. Yeah, like it's a good time. Gambling's fun. It's a good thing to do every once in a while. I have a friend in Denver who loves gambling, and I'm like, bro, I'm not doing this with you every fucking weekend. I'll do this with you like once a month. But like, this is like not something. He's got like the rewards. They're buying him free cruises and shit. Like, I'm like, bro, how much you gotta pay to be getting this stuff? And he's like, dude,
free cruise.
Not gonna lie to you, I probably have lost like 10 grand this year on gambling, and I'm like, okay.
Where's your crew?
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you know what you're doing, I feel like there's a point where gambling is just like gambling. It's exactly that. But I think when you're dealing with a thing like blackjack or poker, like there's a skill to that, right? And I think you can reduce it. You can make it more like an investment than a gamble. I think there's an element of that. I don't know enough about it to know that ratio. But I think it's possible. So I think if you're going from a skill standpoint, I can see somebody making money with that. I mean, there's people who make money. Look at Dan Bilzerian.
Like the way that people make money is they're not going to the casino. What they're doing is they're joining poker tournaments where they're playing against other players. You will definitely always lose money. Just go into a casino. Like, just FYI, the people who make money are people who are going to poker tournaments and just playing against other people, not playing against the house or anything like that.
So here's the summary takeaway. Work your ass off. Do things you enjoy. Remember to enjoy your life. Don't gamble it away unless you know what you're doing. It's okay to play video games. It's okay to watch TV. It's okay to count cards. And we're going to count cards together at some point with our resident card counter. And we're going to live stream us playing Atari on the podcast.
That'd be crazy. How the hell are we going to live stream Atari, bro?
I don't know.
That's before my time. That's like, my first console was Nintendo 64. Just so you know, that was like where I started.
When I was in the military, right when I got out, like right when I was getting out, we had a big TV, like one of those big, as tall as you box TVs. It was like my size.
That's crazy.
And so my house became like the crash pad, right? And everybody used to come over there and we used to play Nintendo 64. We'd play 007 or Mario Kart on Nintendo 64. Those were the two games that we would play. And we'd have like 20 people in our house just rotating whoever lost. Dude, that is literally all we did. Like,
that's hilarious.
It gets aggressive. 007 and Mario Kart can get aggressive when you get a bunch of people in there. It really can.
Fun stuff,
if we could stream Mario Kart, I would do that.
We could probably stream like one of the newer Mario Karts potentially. Like I don't know.
Switch. I
don't know how to make it where it's on a console. Like I only know how to stream on PC stuff. I don't know how we could.
Malcolm said he's in if we play Pong.
Okay.
I feel like Malcolm could kick someone's ass at a good old fashioned Pong game. Robber.
What a game. Yeah, man. I think this has been a good podcast for work-life balance and just normalizing that. I don't think enough people talk about it. Like even Pace talks about like how okay, so let's give a little bit of the other side too, right? Because I think we've been very pro-life on the balance right now, but I also want to be I also want to argue a little bit for the work side in the sense of the pro hustle a little bit. Remember, it's also what you want, right?
Yeah.
So you are probably, if you want to be worth 8 figures, going to need to work a lot. You're probably at some points going to need to work like 10 to 12 hour days, right? So like I'm talking to somebody different because me and Kihana were talking to ourselves a little bit there in the sense that for us, it's very easy to just work 12 to 14 hour days, but like sometimes we need to fucking relax. But there might be people listening here who haven't done shit and like hasn't worked any days, right?
They're like, so like, I don't have to work every day.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So we gotta give a little bit of the other side too, in the sense of like, if you want an exceptional life, you also have to live an exceptional lifestyle, right? So what do I mean by that? Is like you either have to work a ton or work really hard in learning how to make it where you can make money without working very hard, which is also very hard to do. And that requires scaling and teams and stuff like that, right? And it is important to work hard if you have that ambition, right? I don't want it to be like 100% always like, hey, just relax, take a chill, play Frogger for 8 hours a day, right? Exactly. Pro hustle for the pro life. That's what you like. You want to be doing the work because the work is fun and it's fulfilling, right? Like I'm enjoying working, right? Like it's not like I enjoy work more than video games overall, right? You do sometimes need to not work because like you'll just get burnt out. Yeah. But at the same time, like work is like the real video game. It's like the one where like there's actual real life rewards. Like instead of like working out at the gym, I get +1 strength in real life, right? I get to look at my own actual body, right? Or like working 8 hours a day, like, okay, that's plus, 20 grand assignment, right? Or +1 house. You actually got a green house in Monopoly, right? Or whatever, right? So that's why I enjoy it more, and that's why it's more fun. And that's why I'd rather be doing 8 to 12 to even some days 14-hour days, because that's more fun, because I just got a bunch of stuff done, right? It's more fulfilling too, right? I got a message from one of my ACK managers today. He's really new. He was kind of struggling a little bit at the beginning, right? We had like this whole conversation where, because it was commission only job, right? Where he was like, hey man, like, I'm just gonna be honest with you. My family's stressed out. I haven't gotten a deal in the first 2.5 months, and it's just stressful. Like I basically either have to pick up another job or I have to quit, right? Like I have to like do something to order to like, I need to know that there's food on the table, right? I'm like, I get that. I see, and like I just knew, like I see how hard he's working, where I'm like, dude, I know you're gonna make money. Like I can tell when I've hired a winner versus hired a loser. I've done it enough now where I can tell. I'm like, dude, this guy's a winner. Like I just know it. He wants it bad enough, right? I know why. Like he had also at this time probably like 5 hot about to be under contract deals, right? Where I'm like, some of this is gonna turn into money. I just know it. Like I'm seeing the conversations, I'm reading it, I know when this is gonna happen. So I'm like, okay, dude, don't worry about it. I'm gonna pay you for this period. I'm gonna pay you like $4,500 for like a month and a half. Ends up being minimum wage, just so you're not like stressing and you can like actually focus in on the work. Because I think what's killing you right now is you're stressed, your mindset's off, right? So do that. With it, that was 2 weeks ago. He's brought in 40 grand in assignments, right? So far, as of today, right? I was like, bro, I just knew it, right? Like I knew you. Like he's like, yeah, man. Like it just once you took that weight off of me, I was able to do what was required to get it done. I'm like, perfect, right? And so, where was I going with that? But like that's way more fulfilling. He sent me a message today and was like, I was like, dude, I'm so proud of you. Like, congrats. Like you're beating like even like the salary that I was going to pay you. Right. And he's like, bro, safe routes. And my time here has already changed my life. I was like getting to the point where I thought I couldn't do real estate. Right. I thought it was like just not going to work out for me. And you're giving me hope again that like I am able actually to do this. I'm like, bro, you just needed a system. You're in the right system. So that's way more fun and fulfilling than a video game. Right. And Kihana, I'm going to let you go because I'm realizing my computer's not charging. So take the floor for a second and I'll be right back.
Jonah, like, guys, we need to do a poll on how many times Jonah has a technical difficulty during the podcast. Like, this guy's all the way in San Francisco right now, like living his best life. He's got a TiVo behind him. He's got like a pink light bulb. He's got a TV from the 90s. There is zero reason this 13 going on 30 experience should include poor internet. But here we sit. So we're going to start a GoFundMe so that Jonah can have better internet and a greater dating experience, because he moved the podcast from Tuesdays to Wednesdays so he could date more. I wonder how many dates he's actually gone on. When he comes back, we'll have to ask him. But thoughts so far, guys? interested in hearing your thoughts. Where do you guys land on the work-life balance debate? Is it hustle, never stop until you're a billionaire? Or is it like, yeah, hustle, work your ass off, but also realize that you're a human being who needs to like live their life and breathe, and your brain actually requires rest to think, right? Interested in seeing where you guys sit in that. And Jonah brings up a good point, right? We were indexing on our personality types. So our personality types, our propensity is to just keep going and keep pushing and not stop and not breathe and not relax. So we have to welcome back, sir. Are you back in the 21st century? Look,
it's not my internet, bro. It's not my internet. It's the fact I needed to plug in my computer. Like I just realized I didn't get the charger after all of the setup I had to do.
Are you good to go? You're happy?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, but
Did
so
I cut out there or something?
For a second. So yeah, we were over-indexing on us because our propensity is to just overwork. And so what happens is like for people like us, I know for me, you have to like give yourself permission to justify taking time off. Otherwise you feel bad. Like, I don't deserve to take this time off. I should be doing something. I could be doing something, right? And so I think people like us, anybody who has this propensity, you have to let yourself know it's okay to breathe. It's okay, right? I was saying earlier, like, I'm going to try to do this thing where maybe on some days I can stop working at 6 o'clock. That's going to be freaking weird. I don't even know what I'm going to do. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but I'm going to try it because I think it would be healthy. I think it would be beneficial. But that's talking about people with our propensity to just constantly be doing something. But to Jonah's point, because you bring up a good point, not everybody has that propensity. And some people's propensity
might be lazy as hell.
Like, bro, you woke up at noon, you worked for 38 minutes, and now you say you need a break. I don't know you need a break.
Yeah, bro. Like, it depends on the person, because there are certain people where I'm like, okay, get off your ass. Like, come on. Like, we haven't done anything today, nor like yesterday, nor the day before, right? Yeah, exactly. So it depends on the person. So I don't know. Like, I feel like that type of person just shouldn't do entrepreneurship, though. I feel like that type of person should just get a job, to be honest.
Yeah, but even still, you got to be honest. Like, so let's talk about this VA, right? And I mean this respectfully. I mean no disrespect to this person because I don't really know them personally. Hired a VA only because Jonah told me to, but there was no other reason. I didn't even need a VA. I just did it.
Just as I told you, you should do it. Okay.
But no, we have a lot going on, and a lot of stuff was falling through. And there is a point where it's like, okay, I want to do a bunch of stuff. You need help. You just need to. Otherwise, you're going to start getting, what's the not mitigated return, the diminished return. You're going to start getting a diminished return on all the work you're doing. And it was at that point. And so one of the students in my community had this VA he'd been talking to me about for like a month. He's like, she's really good. You got to reach out to her. And I'm like, but I didn't have to go through like the search. I knew the person. He just had to put us in a group chat. And here's what's interesting. This is why I bring this up, because this person told me, they were like, I am just burnt out. I'm ready for more. I'm ready for more. I am tired of doing the same thing over and over again and over and over again and over and over again. I want more. I want more from my life. I want more from my family. And anybody who knows me knows I'm an avid over communicator. I was very clear about how much work I had going on. Very clear about the way I approach things. Very clear that like all of a sudden today I'm gonna be like, hey, all that stuff we're doing this now. So let's switch. Ready? And that's just the way it is, right? Like I one day launched a school community and then 2 hours later it had to be live. So now we're scrambling to get that done. Like this is just how I run. And so I was very transparent about that and she was okay with it. First week, she's like, second day, she was like telling Yvonne in a training, like, hey, this is a lot more than I thought it was going to be. But she stuck around and it seemed like it was going okay. She started work yesterday morning. I think it was yesterday morning. And was like, hey, what's going on? Everything's fine. Like checking in. How's it? Good morning, everybody. Then 30 minutes later, hey, I'm sorry. I think I'm holding you back. And then just ghosted me after that. Like didn't let me pay her, like completely ghosted me.
That's
right?
So which is funny to me.
So
That's so
weird.
Crazy.
Here's the crazy part. I literally responded and I said something to the effect of, people are funny because people will say that they want more.
Where they don't, everybody.
And they get scared when they get it because they realize that more required more. Right? If you can't say that did you think that more would be easier than what you're currently doing? Right? And I think that this is something that we all need to really factor. Are you saying you want more in your life, whether it's more in your relationships, more in your health, more in your finances, more in whatever, you want an improvement in some area, you are, in my opinion, and Jonah, you can correct me if you have a different opinion, you are fooling yourself if you think that's not going to cost you something and it's not going to require something from you. Stop saying you want more if you're not willing to invest in what more looks like. And I think a lot more people need to be honest with themselves about that.
Everybody wants to be on the top of Mount Everest, but nobody actually wants to climb mountains. Right? Nobody, the difference, and we talked about this, I think, in a different one between like most, like us and like a lot of entrepreneurs is like, and this is like a Kobe quote, right? And this stuck with me, is like, the dream is waking up at 5 a.m. and making those shots, right? Doing the work, getting the goal. Once you achieve X goal, the happiness that produces lasts, like, depending on the goal, usually like a day, maybe 2. Maybe if it's like something that's life-changing, like getting married, maybe it'd be like a week. And then that just kind of fades. And what you realize is the growth and the progression is that is the journey. The journey is the goal, right? The goal is to be doing this journey of becoming great and creating great things, right? And I don't think people get that. I think people think the goal is to hit the goal. The goal is to be becoming insanely better. Yes, I will. Yeah, I do want to be an 8-figure entrepreneur, eventually maybe a 9-figure entrepreneur. Actually, I definitely want to be eventually a 9-figure entrepreneur. That's my goal, right? But the fun part isn't going to be when I get $100 million. The fun part is now, the journey, right? That's all life is in the end, is the journey anyway. So I just think you got to decide what journey. And like, also, like, if you are that lazy person, like, dude, just get a job. This shit's hard, bro. This shit's stressful. Like, why? What? Like, you like, yeah, I can't even think about the fact if you didn't like enjoy the entrepreneurship game, why you would ever do this? Just be pure torture. I feel like,
yeah.
You're like, why the fuck are you doing this?
Yeah.
So
yeah, but you have to want it. You have to know about it. I agree 100%, man. I agree 100%. And I say this all the time on my sales training. I'm like, guys, you guys are out here saying that you want to win in real estate and you want to get good at sales. You want to get good at communicating. But the first time you practiced the way you were going to sound on the phone was when you made a phone call to a seller. I was like, imagine Kobe, the first time he shot a basketball that day was on the court in the game. Right. But the first time you guys are practicing the way you sound on the phone is on a call with the seller. Right. You can't say you want to get good at this if the first time you're practicing is in the thing. You have to be willing to put the practice in beforehand. You have to be willing to work on, because I teach a lot of stuff. I'm talking about voice inflections. I'm talking about tonality. I'm talking about, controlling inflections, understanding people. I'm talking about doing all these things, doing role plays. Every high pressure sales job I've ever had, every single one of them, first thing you do in the day, every single day. You know what it is? Whole floor requirement.
I don't know, role playing.
Role plays, 100%. It wasn't even an option.
Yeah.
Everybody, you role played in the morning, or the day did not start, because the first time you showed up wasn't gonna be on the phone. You ain't gonna waste leads like that. But we in this industry being lazy as hell, acting like because we made 12 calls today that we are out here hustling and we don't know why we're not getting deals. Stop it, right? Kobe wouldn't be Kobe. We would not know Kobe's name if the first time he practiced was during the game. He's Kobe because he practiced when everybody else was sleeping. If you don't bring that same energy to your business, can you really tell yourself you want it as much as you say you do?
Yeah, exactly. Right? Question for you, because I never worked in like an official sales role. How long would you role play every single day? Like at the beginning of the day? An hour? Okay. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Because that's my thing is like, I did sales jobs, but I never like this whole entrepreneurship thing, the thing that was always that's been the 2.5 year struggle was like, okay, how do we actually like manage shit? And like what is like actually even supposed to happen on a sales floor? Because I've never done that. Right. So like it's interesting, like hearing it. I do role plays just once a week, but now I'm kind of listening to you say that. I'm like, maybe we should do role plays every single day. I don't know if they're gonna have enough time.
Bro, sign your acquisitions up for my community, bro. I'm telling you,
it might be a good idea. I feel like it would be smart. So far what I've had them do is like the required reading is Never Split the Difference. I honestly, in my opinion, that's like the best sales book ever. Any of my act managers who actually read that book and start doing things always is successful because it's just so fucking good. But I think it'd be a good idea. I don't think it'd be a bad idea necessarily. It's just to like throw in act managers into a sales community. That would be interesting for sure.
I'll tell you this right now, you'll see the difference, right? Like I can't speak for other communities. I'll tell you with mine. I mean, just ask any of my students, man. And this isn't an endorsement to my community. I'll do what you want, right? Like if you're in this industry. But I'm telling you right now, the one of the biggest feedbacks I get, people get in there, they're like, oh shoot, all right, this is not at all what I thought this was supposed to be, right? And the reason is because we approach this with the wrong mindset. And I think that's the difference. And I've been using Kobe examples a lot recently. It's actually in a couple of my YouTube videos for this exact reason, because the thing that separated him was his willingness to be intentional. And most of us aren't intentional. We say we want something, but the work that we're doing doesn't match the goals that we say we have. And we got to be honest, it sounds like we're contradicting our work-life balance thing, right? But I think once you get to the point where you realize you earn aggressive relaxation when you've aggressively worked your ass off.
But also, we're not aggressively relaxing. You're talking about stopping working at 6 p.m., dog. That's still and when do you start working? 7 a.m.? 7? Like your relaxing is just like working 11-hour days instead of 14. It sounds like, bro. Like it's like okay, aggressive relaxation, right? Like
Giovanna was in the room when I apologized for a short Zoom today after when it hit 4 hours. I really did feel bad about that too. But I think this is the point, right? Like, and I think we're delivering that message. It's just the mindset, right? Like, what are you bringing to this? And I think that if you're not hustling like that, then maybe you should chill on a time off thing, right? Like I don't know.
But it's also like, what do you want? Like you and me have the ambition to be a Kobe type figure, right? I don't think most people want to be Kobe. I mean, I think people want to be Kobe. I don't think people want to do what Kobe had to do to become Kobe. Me and you want that, right? Like me and you are like, I love the fucking work. I do want to be great, right? But being great, even though it's awesome, it's also like, it's a fucking sacrifice. Like it's not worth, like it is worth it if you have that ambition, but you just have to be radically self-aware of what you want, right? And that's what I always like. I was on a podcast this morning. I was on John and Helena's podcast, right? And one of the questions they asked me is like, what would you tell any newbie watching this? And I'm like, know who you are and who you are, why you want to start a business, and what you're good at, right? And the part that relates to this conversation is what you want. I think most people are just like, I just want to make lots of money. And I'm like, that is the stupidest answer I've ever heard in my entire life. You will get nowhere. That is like saying, I want to go east, right? Like, it's like, okay, like you're going to end up in nowhere, right? Because that's just a random direction, a random general direction. You need to know, like, what city are we trying to go to, or like what area or what continent, or like, and because you got to be specific about it too, right? So anyways,
that's like, good. I think the moral of the story here is, in the wise words of the philosopher Missy Elliott, is it worth it? Let me work it. I put my game down, flip it, and reverse it.
Dude, can we end the podcast on that? I know it's an hour early, but that's just such a bar to just be like,
I don't know. I don't know.
We can't. Where is that? Where are we gonna go after that? That was
we
like
don't go
the
anywhere.
perfect
I think
ending.
this is where we ended. I think the message has been delivered. Y'all either work harder or relax more. Get your goals. Join us when we play Call of Duty on this thing to see who's better, and then that's it. I think we done, bro.
I agree. Oh my god! I just want to what I want to do almost. Like I wish I had just hit the end stream right there and just like I was tempted to just be like I was gonna be like might say what the fuck. But
let's have DeMarco edit this where I just say that and then it ends. That's the official edit. Y'all got to see the behind the scenes bloopers, but officially this ends there. That's it. I'm good with that. Prophet and Paradox. Cool. Episode 29. Go relax or go work your ass off. Love y'all. Peace. We out.
Peace.